so let's call this meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. Let's start with the roll call, please, Carly.
Joseph Di Benedetto.
Present.
Christine Caniglio.
Present.
Rashmi Krishnaraj. I don't see her yet. Victor Lee.
Good.
Lilith Guigianti says she's going to be a little bit late, Lilith. Aquila Sorio. Not here yet. Monica Patino.
Present.
Edward Kim. Brooke Sturgeon.
Present.
And Anne-Marie Knable. Anne-Marie, she was just in. We just let her in a second ago.
I see her.
Okay.
Anne-Marie, you have to put your microphone on.
Present. She's here. Oh, there
Thank
she is.
Yeah. Okay. So you're missing 4.
So I have, what, 6 present? Did I count right?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you have 6 present. That's fine.
So we have a quorum, we can move
Yes, you have a
forward.
quorum. Yes.
And then you'll let them in as they come in. Let me know when they come in, so I just know that everybody's here. Please.
Okay.
Thank
One
you.
of your members just came in, I think it's Rashmi.
Yeah, I just
I
had,
think I saw Aquila come in.
Okay.
Is Rashmi and Aquila in?
Yeah, Rashmi's in.
Okay. All right, so why don't we review the minutes, board members, and I'll take any motions to approve, and then we'll get started. The minutes should be on the screen as well. Carly, if you want to scroll down slowly.
Okay. Let me know when to stop. Of course. Oh, that's not slowly. Esther, can you let Aquila in?
She's not on my screen.
I let her in, and I also
Yeah.
let
Thank
Eddie
you.
in.
Thank you.
Okay. Tell me when to stop. Or when to keep going.
Some of you can just keep going a little bit more.
Sorry, too much.
Paragraph 9, oh,
Sorry, it's hard to
it goes fast.
yeah, when I let it go, sorry. Is that okay there or more?
That's good. Is there more to scroll down, Carly, or does it stop there?
That stops there because of the remember we didn't have the business meeting as well. It was just-
Understood, right. Okay.
Motion.
Do I hear any motions?
All right, Monica, approve, motion to approve. Cool.
Monica
Brooke,
made
I
the
second.
motion.
Yes.
I second.
Thank
And
you.
Brooke second the motions. Okay, so the minutes are hereby approved. We welcome everyone to our March meeting. Now, typically we have our meetings on the first Wednesday of every month. And as you all know, this month we had anticipated our town hall with our chancellor. And then a lot of news happened. Then we have a new chancellor, Misha Porter. We originally were going to have a town hall on March 29th. That was canceled. And hence we chose this as our calendar meeting for the month of March. We, as of today, we still do not have a town hall date from our chancellor, but we look forward to meeting her. And as soon as we are advised on her availability to hold a town hall in our district, we will set word out to the community. So we did have our business meeting before this evening, so we're here just for the calendar meeting. And I want to remind you that our next calendar meeting is scheduled for April 7th. Okay, that's, I believe, 2 weeks away, right? On Wednesday. So a lot has been happening in our community and in the city, and we've all received the announcement today that the mayor wants to expand full day 3K instruction throughout the city. We have the news about the blended opt-in options that is reinstated, and I'll let the district office or the superintendent elaborate on that. But I think the opt-in period starts today through April 7th. And I also want to state that this CEC and our district fully support standing up against any type of hate crimes. I want to acknowledge that we recognize what is happening to the Asian community, but state that our district and the CEC will not tolerate hate of any kind to any group. And so we will support a standing up against all types of hate crimes. So having said that, that's the only news I have for you at this point. I know we have Deputy Superintendent Dr. Michael D'Antona, who's going to present something, but we're going to hear it.
We lost Joe.
Are you here?
Joe,
you're back,
yeah,
Joe.
you're back,
Okay.
Joe.
Okay, so I don't know where I lost you guys. I'm sorry.
You were talking about Dr. Mike was going to present.
So
Right.
Dr.
Yeah.
Mike is going to present, and I wanted to have the superintendent give her report before we started. I apologize, I'm having some Wi-Fi issues, I guess. Superintendent, are you here?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay.
Am I on screen? Yes.
Yeah, you're there, Danielle.
Okay, thank you. So welcome, everyone. And thank you for allowing me to do my report. Before I do that, I would like to make a statement regarding events that have happened recently, as well as in the past, and to talk a little bit about how I think this is affecting myself professionally, personally, as well as things that our children are seeing, and where we're standing as a district around this work. So I know professionally, one of the things that I've personally and professionally, one of the places I've always found comfort is in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King. So today I spent some time reading some of his speeches and pulled a couple of statements that he made. And I want to start with one that talks about history will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not in the strident clamor of the bad people, but in the appalling silence of the good people. As a district, we will not be silent and will work together to stand against hate. We stand together against the horrible acts of hate against our Asian community and all of our friends and families who have been victims of the oppressive nature of hateful words and acts of violence across the years. Martin Luther King also says, even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree. Our vision of strong roots and strong schools will be the foundation of the work that we do across our schools. And together we will plant trees and grow strong roots that will cast shade upon and grow taller than hate that we are surrounded by currently. I want the community to know that we have been working through this as part of our district equity team for the past 2 years and will continue to do so, and will communicate together that there is no space for hate in our school community. Okay, now my superintendent report. So there's the update that Joe had spoke about on new blended learning opt-in windows for families. Families may now use the online learning preference survey to select blended learning, in-person learning for their children. Families have until Wednesday, April 7th to make this selection. Your school will let you know when your blended learning start date will be. Students in 3K, pre-K, and grades K to 5, including K-5 students in District 75, who opt into blended learning during this opt-in window will return to buildings in April. But I do want to remind our families that it is very important that you communicate with your schools around when that start date will be. Students in grades 6 to 12 will return at a later date, and we will communicate more details as soon as possible. Don't wait. If you wish your child to return for in-person learning, complete the online preference survey now so your school can support you if you need help. There is an updated daily health screening questions for staff members and any other visitors to our schools. The DOE has updated the questions on the daily health screening form to reflect the latest guidance on exposure to COVID-19 for fully vaccinated individuals, adults, and those who have recovered from COVID-19 in the past 90 days, as well as travel quarantine requirements for domestic and international travel. I would also like to announce our daily COVID case update, as I know that that is something that the CEC wanted me to present. So our building closures through 3/28 is PS 20, through 3/25 is PS 107, through 3/31 is PS 120, through 3/28 is PS 184, through 3/26 is PS 189, and through 3/31 is PS MS 219. Our classroom closures include PS 32, Q 130, 163, 165, 169, 200, 242, 379, 499, and the pre-K center in College Point. 3K is coming to District 25 for the 2021-2022 school year. We're very excited. I have a meeting next Wednesday where I'll be able to give further details to the community after that. However, if you have a child born in 2018, you can now apply for 3K programs that begin in fall.
Danielle, you're on mute. I don't know what happened, but you went to mute.
Was I on mute the whole time?
No.
No.
Somebody
Oh,
mute-
thank goodness. I was like, do I have to
I didn't
start
do
over?
it.
No, wait, I heard up until 3K.
You started talking about
school
3K,
year.
Danielle.
Just talking about the 3K.
The whole 3K? Did I, the whole thing
No,
about
no,
it
no,
coming-
just
No,
that.
just coming to our
you were going
district
the
part.
application dates.
Oh, the application dates.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
sorry.
you just said it, yeah.
Okay, so application dates. 3K and pre-K application is open. The deadline to apply for 3K is now May 28th. It's been extended. The deadline to apply for pre-K is April 7th. Visit My Schools to create your My Schools account, explore program options, build your application, and apply online. The application for kindergarten gifted and talented programs is now open, and the deadline to apply is April 9th, 2021. Interested families can apply one of 3 ways, and that also goes for 3K and pre-K. Through the My Schools account, through the Family Welcome Center, and by phone, 718-935-2009. That's correct, Louis, right? You could do all 3?
Yep. Well, the welcome
pre-K
center
as
will
well.
be.
Yeah.
The welcome center will be remote still, but they can help you.
Yep.
You can't go there yet.
Okay. And I also want to announce, I know that Joe had spoken about our new Chancellor Misha Porter. We're very excited. And we all know, as in District 25 fashion, the Chancellor comes to us first because she knows what an amazing district we are and how hardworking our staff and students are. So Chancellor visited Bell Academy last Thursday and loved everything that she saw and has not stopped talking about it in all of the different meetings that she's been in. So congratulations, Bell Academy, for a wonderful visit with our Chancellor. And finally, we want to thank our local elected officials, and I have some announcements for RESOA funding allocations for fiscal year 2021. PS 20 is receiving $100,000, PS 21, $50,000, IS 25, $50,000, PS 29, $50,000, PS 32, $50,000, PS 79, $50,000, all that I have announced before. Actually, they're all technology upgrades unless I say differently. PS 79, PS 107, $50,000, PS 129, $50,000, 130, $50,000, PS 163, $50,000, PS 165, $150,000, PS 169, $100,000, PS 184, $500,000, PS 193, $50,000, PSMS 200, $100,000, PS 209, $50,000, PS 214, $100,000, PS 219, $125,000, PS 242, $75,000. The Active Learning Center, PS 244, $60,000, and College Point Collaborative, $130,000. So thank you to all of our community members and our local elected officials that support us. And that's my report. Oh, so Joe, am I introducing Mike or you?
You can introduce Dr. Mike, but I just want to make another comment if you don't mind.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I take pride in being part of a district that impressed our new chancellor. And I really have to comment that, I've watched the news reports on it and I've seen her comments. And, I was impressed, as most importantly, the chancellor was, with the enthusiasm of our students at Bell Academy. And that is a very diverse community. And they, again, do not tolerate any form of hate. And they stand proud of who they are. And I, have to commend Bell Academy because they really were enthusiastic. And I would hope that eventually, as more and more students go back to school, that they hold the same enthusiasm, because that's what makes our district special and us proud. Okay, so thank you for that. And okay, Superintendent, you could introduce.
Oh, thank you. So, as many of you know, we did not have state tests last year, but just in terms of district expectations, the expectation of our parents in our community, as well as the expectation of our CEC, Dr. D'Antona and I worked very strategically with our principals to ensure that we had benchmarking tools that were administered to our students in the fall and then again in the winter that we could use to make decisions to best support our students academically. I will say to you, across the year, Dr. D'Antona and I made virtual school visits when our buildings were closed. And most recently, we've been spending time visiting schools in the in-school settings. What I love to see is very similarly to what Mr. Di Benedetto said, is that our students are so excited to be back at school. There is just a happiness that we see, and a happiness for myself as I'm visiting them in classrooms. I had the wonderful pleasure of visiting PS 130 yesterday, and just saw the tremendous amount of work that our teachers are doing to ensure that our students are getting the best academics that they can, and that there's also we are also addressing their social emotional learning needs and making sure that they have access to things like recess and spending time with each other. So in looking at all of those expectations, one of the things that Dr. D'Antona and I have done is we have compiled our district assessments that we administered throughout the year. And we have used that in conversations with our principals, as well as with our DLT, and tonight with all of you to talk about the state of the district and some of the moves that we are going to make between now and the end of the school year to ensure that we keep our learning gaps minimized and that our principals and our teachers keep their fingers on the pulse of where our students are now so that they can best plan over the summer to start this school year addressing those learning gaps. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. D'Antona, and I have to tell you, he is a data wizard and has compiled all of our schools together to give you the presentation tonight. So Dr. D'Antona, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mango. And, I don't know about the wizard, but, we do our best to make sure that information is accessible, I think. And that's one of the important components of the work that we're trying to do inside of our schools, making sure that information is accessible and useful at the school level for our administrators and certainly for our teachers as they're drilling down to impact learning for our kids. So that is one of the pieces that we're really have been focused on quite a bit this year. And you'll hear me, anytime you hear me talk data, you'll hear me use language like current reality. Here's where we are right now. And from where we are right now, what decisions are we going to be making next based on the information that we have? So I'm going to share a little bit with you about where we started the year off with our first administration of the of our benchmarking assessments, and to where we are as of the end of February with our data, and then kind of a little snapshot as to what we're going to be doing and what we have been doing since then and where we're going between now and the end of the year. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen and go through this presentation with you guys, sharing a little bit about the current state of District 25. So during, let's move that up there. So during this presentation, you're going to wind up hearing me talk a little bit about our subgroups. We're going to do a comparison of our ELA mathematics data from fall to winter. Within the subgroups of our all student subgroup, our Hispanic, Black, L, and students with disabilities, and primarily because those are aligned with our district-wide goals for improvement. So we're going to be talking a bit about those subgroups, and we're going to also talk a little bit about chronic absenteeism rates. As if you don't know, this chronic absenteeism is a really super important component to making sure that our kids are in a place to succeed. If they're in school, they're going to learn, in my opinion, and the less they're in school, the less likely they are to achieve. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So for our ELA goal, the intention of our goal was really to build these data systems across our buildings with the intent of improving outcomes by at least 5% by the end of the year for each of our focus groups, which are Hispanic, Black, and L populations, and as always, our all students population as well. What we have seen, and I'm not sure if my bar is in the way, I think it might be. Let me move this down here. Okay. What we have, oops, I moved a couple of slides. What we have seen thus far, and as of February from fall to winter, there's been a 1.8% change of students that are currently on or above grade level on these assessments, amounting to around 47% or so overall performance of children on or above grade level. Now, we do anticipate that average section that is in the middle, which is at 23.39%, there will be a significant percentage of those children that we're anticipating will move towards that on-grade level before the end of the year. But this is our current state of where we are as of February with our students. In terms of our Hispanic subgroup, the overall growth was at 1.45% for our Hispanic subgroup, comparing our fall to winter. The overall percentage there is a little over 31% in terms of overall students, the percentage of students performing on or above grade level. We did not see a tremendous amount of movement in our level 1 and 2 section. Now, just want you guys to know that these assessments, they're done on a 1 to 5 scale. Typically, you guys see assessment data, it's usually in a 1 to 4 scale when you're seeing state tests. So there tends to be a little bit of opportunity for us to continue to grow, obviously, as the year's going on within those level 2 and 3 ranges. But as of right now, this is where we are. We've grown by 1.45% with our Hispanic subgroup. Our Black subgroup had a 2.3% change from fall to winter, currently at around just under 34%, 33.73% to be exact, percent of students currently on or above grade level. There was quite a bit of change between students at level 1 and 2 in this particular subgroup, and improvements in students that were above grade level, as well as those children that are in the average. So, the bars are moving in the right direction for this particular subgroup. Our L subgroup, and this I do really believe is very important for everyone just to keep in mind. Typically, this is including children that are brand new to the country, all the way ranging to children that have been receiving services for quite a long time. Our typical range of performance because of that usually is around the 15%, 16% of children wind up testing at proficient levels by the end of the year. Currently, we're a little bit above that 15%, and do believe we will surpass the number of children that are typically proficient by the end of the year. But this is a subgroup that Mr. Mango and I are consistently keeping our eye on and looking to continue to support our schools in. There was a 4% change from fall to winter for this particular subgroup. And as I said, there's a ton more work that we have to do here, but we are aware of that and continuing to work with our schools. So what did this data tell us? So just so that you guys know, there is a range of assessments. The two largest assessments are what I'm going to talk about now. It's the iReady and the MAP assessment. We saw two different pictures here. The iReady assessment, we did see improvements across the domains from fall to winter. The greatest area of need that was indicated here was in vocabulary development. Tier 2 and Tier 3 students, that was the largest percentage of our students in that Tier 2, Tier 3 in terms of need of support, was in that range. Our highest performance area were in those foundational skills, phonological awareness, phonics, and high frequency words, which tells us that we do need to pay attention to vocabulary development, which is the building block for comprehension. Well, on the other side of that, we did see with our MAP assessment data a little bit of a different story. There was a decrease in our domains comparing fall to winter, and understanding key ideas, details, and connections was the lowest performing, and that is an area of comprehension. The reason why I highlight this is because our MAP assessments were typically middle school. So we have an area for elementary schools largely where vocabulary has shown as being a need, and in our middle schools, comprehension is something that was an area B. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment, what we're paying attention to. So what have we done, and what are we continuing to do? We're going to continue our work with Apple, support the development and implementation of rigorous tasks. We actually did a celebration today, and the tasks that our teachers have developed are really moving in the direction that we believe will put our kids in for our kids to have experiences that really promote that rigor. We partnered with Dr. Maria Akinyele, who is an expert in the field of culturally responsive and sustaining curriculum and instruction. We're in the process of organizing, continuing to organize that work moving forward through the remainder of the year, and have seen positive outcomes from that as well. And then lastly, this is something that's really important for us as we really targeting those focus areas of vocabulary development and unpacking of those priority learning standards is something we're doing with the borough office. So we're identifying schools. In fact, we're doing this across the district, and then honing in on some schools that really can use some additional attention. And that's what we're striving to do between now and the end of the year. So lots of training.
Mike, I just want to add a couple of things to this. So when we, and these are expectations, just so you know, that all of our schools have engaged in, and they really have done a beautiful job. If you sit on an SLT, if you have not already this month, you will absolutely hear some of the benchmarking work that was done at the school level, and schools are doing some very similar work about making decisions and ways to pivot between now and the end of the year to reduce learning gaps. Now, when we look at things at the district level, one of the first two things that we target are the immediate needs of our most struggling learners. But keeping the vision of what Victor has talked about from our CEC is looking at that average student, right? And making sure that those learning lags do not continue. So one of the things that I do want to stress to all of our community is that our expectations, and Dr. D'Antona and myself in visiting and working with our schools and our principals, is that they had these data tools and were easily able to access looking at data in a variety of ways in order to continuously make decisions to best meet the needs of the students they serve. And that includes our most struggling learners, our accelerated learners, and our students in the middle that are experiencing learning lags. So we just want to let you know that that is happening across the board. Additionally, Dr. D'Antona is correct that we are working with our borough office right now and creating opportunities for professional learning for teachers around these targeted areas, but our schools have simultaneously been supporting our students, our teachers, in using data systems as well within their planning, so they are aware that the students that they are teaching and their needs, as well as where they are in terms of the priority standards. I will say this to all of our families out there: if you have opportunities to go over vocabulary words with your students in elementary school, that would be a support and welcoming area for us. Your schools will probably be reaching out to you if vocabulary is an issue within their schools to form those partnerships. But I will say something else that is really important that we need to visit as an adult community. Our middle school students are not reading, and they need to read. We are going to push for a reading initiative across all of our middle schools when we return from the break. But please ask your middle schools to read as much as possible. I see my own children at home in high school. They are not reading half as much as they used to. So let's work together as a community to continue to enforce reading for our kids. It is important, and it is starting to show in the data. So just in terms of student comprehension and analysis of text. So please, let's continue to do that together as a community. All
Yeah,
right.
and just one other quick thing to add: because of the systemic analysis of information, it's enabling our teachers to be strategic around their grouping as well, and how they're providing those tiered supports for children, whether it's whole class or in small group. For our kids. So that's something that's also consistently happening now across our buildings too, as a result of this analysis that they're all going through. So in addition, and this is another subgroup that we are really paying attention to, and this is kind of alludes to what I just mentioned around looking at information to really create our systems of MTSS and providing strategic supports for our kids. So our goal was to improve for our special education population proficiency levels by 5%. At this time, within the context of our data, we have seen a small decrease from fall to winter in relationship to our students performing at or above grade level for our special education population. It is a subgroup that we can continue to work on and work towards with these data systems that I just mentioned, and really drilling down to the specific targeted needs of our kids on a day-to-day basis. Mathematics told a little bit of a different story, although our percentages here are still low. We did grow by 1.3% for our special education population in mathematics from fall to winter. A lot of work obviously still needs to be done here as well. But our schools, as I mentioned, are really digging into the data that we have to really start making some strategic adjustments for our kids. Our mathematics goal was to really start, again, continuing to work on our targeted subgroups, which for mathematics was our Black, Hispanic, and L population, to improve and reduce those gaps that opportunity gaps that we've seen in mathematics by 3%. But we have seen overall, we have seen a positive change in mathematics by about 2.3% overall as a district. We're roughly around 49% of our kids currently on or above grade level, with opportunities for us to continue to grow. Math tells a little bit of a different story than that of ELA in terms of percentage of children that are in that 1 and 2 range. So, it tells a little bit of a different story here as compared to ELA. For our Hispanic subgroup, there was a 4 percentage point change of students that were on or above grade level comparing fall to winter, which is progress that I think is certainly important and noted in these bar graphs. We still have a tremendous amount of work to do with our level 1 and 2 students that are on this list, but we are moving in the right direction. Our Black subgroup grew by 6%, over 6% from fall to winter, which follows a similar pattern to what we saw in ELA. The bars here are moving in the right direction. Our level 1s and 2s have declined a little bit, and our level 4s and 5s have increased a bit, which is really important and is in alignment with that growth that we are looking for across subgroups. For our L subgroup, there was growth here by 3.77% from fall to winter. Overall, just over 26% of our students currently on or above grade level. I do want to continue to reiterate, we have significant percentages of our children that are in that average range. And we do anticipate that we'll have many more students that are moving forward into that on or above grade level section by the end of the year. Now, here is just a small little breakdown of what the average growth was across our subgroups. And the reason why I share this is just because we're looking to reduce that overarching gap between our subgroups that we have noticed over time. And you will see that comparatively to our all student subgroup, we are seeing positive changes with the targeted subgroups that we have in the district thus far this year, which is a positive thing. Comparing our L subgroup and our Black subgroup to our all student subgroup, you can see that there has been positive outcomes and positive change from the start of the year to where we are now. Continued growth obviously is needed here, but we are moving in the right direction. What we did learn from again, the iReady and MAP assessments, and again, I point these out because this is the largest number of schools. We do have one school that took the STAR assessment as well. But just to give you in a larger scale picture, the performance which I think is really important that we performed the greatest at was algebra and algebraic thinking. 62% of our kids were currently on or above grade level. And if there is a component of mathematics that's important for our kids to master, it's certainly in that algebra domain. So I'm excited that we are in a place where that is the domain that our kids perform the highest in. And the lowest performing areas was in geometry. And one thing to note about geometry, at the time of the assessment, children may not have been engaged in certain standards when those assessments were administered. So there is still more room to grow inside of our overall performance in mathematics. For the MAP assessment, again, we saw a similar story in the MAP assessment, which was primarily administered to our middle schools. We saw a little bit of a decrease in overall performance across domains in comparing fall to winter, with geometry, again, being an element that was identified along with statistics and probability. So we are engaging in additional work in mathematics in a number of ways. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to continue our work with Apple. We have identified grades 5 and 6 as grades that we really want to continue to pay attention to. based on the information that we've gathered. Metamorphosis is a math consultant, and they're pretty widely known for their expertise in math. And they're currently working with our middle schools on really unpacking mathematical practices and supports for both in-school and remote teaching. As we all know, our remote classrooms make up the majority of our children. Currently, it was about 70% or so of our kids are working remotely. So these supports are intended to support both our teachers that are in school, but also those teachers that are teaching our children remotely in the mathematics classroom. So that is something that we're doing with Metamorphosis. We also are working with the Borough team, specifically focused on grades 5 and 6, targeting those learning standards from even grade 4 on up to see where some of those gaps are existing. Grade 5 over the past several years seems to be a grade that we need to pay attention to. Whether it's standards, whether it's the curriculum, it's something we need to dig in further, as there seems to be higher performance in grade 3 and 4, and then we see a little bit of a lag in grade 5 for some reason. So we are paying close attention to what's going on in those grades, and our teachers and administrators will be digging into those priority learning standards. And we've also partnered, as we have in previous years, because we love the work that's happening in our early childhood grades with Bank Street College. So we have our schools engaging in professional learning for teachers and administrators in grades K through 2. The work that's been happening in our early childhood grades because of the training from Bank Street has really been terrific. I had an opportunity to see a video of one of our parents actually executing some of the work with their kids at home. And it really, really shows how that's translated from classroom to the home in a really positive way. So, our early childhood grades are definitely the building block, and we want to capitalize on that as much as we possibly can. Danielle, do you have anything about the math goal? We're good?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay. And the last segment that I'm going to talk about is the parent engagement goal. Chronic absenteeism is a really important component of our work as a district. And this year, based on state data, we had 44 subgroups across our 34 schools that would have received a level 1 rating in terms of performance in that chronic absenteeism category. And what that basically means is the state gives every single school a particular percentage point that you have to reach in order to be defined as a level 1 school, a level 2, a level 3, and a level 4 in terms of chronic absenteeism. So each of our schools has a targeted measure that they are seeking to reach in order to move up the levels. And right now, we're 59% of our level 1 schools, if the year were to have ended as of March 17th, will have surpassed that level 1 and will be at a level 2, 3, or in some cases, even level 4 as a result of the work that they are doing. Every single one of our buildings has what we call a case team. And this team is responsible for engaging in outreach to our families, supporting our families with ensuring that our children are in the buildings every single day. And some of those subgroups that are currently still at level 1, we have seen positive changes in their overarching attendance rates. So we're excited about the direction that this is going. And we know that the more our kids are in the building, the more likely they are to be successful. So we're going to continue this push, each year, because it is so important for our kids. And the last part of this that I do want to talk about, because I think that it has been so super valuable for us as a district, and certainly at the school level, are the parent chats. This is an initiative that Superintendent Domingo set forth at the beginning of the year, and based on feedback that we have received, it has been really, truly very positive. On the left-hand side of this slide, you're going to see some quotes from feedback that we received from parents, and much of which is around how appreciative and supportive they felt that those talks were, and something that we're looking to hopefully continue to grow in future years. So things like I liked hearing from everyone. No one was kept quiet. Everyone had an opportunity to speak. Hearing different viewpoints, having thought-provoking and helpful. This was very thought-provoking and helpful to reflect on our own behaviors and parenting styles. I appreciated the dialogue with my fellow parents. It felt comfort that some of my personal feelings were being felt by them as well. So creating these open spaces for our families to really talk about really key questions that are impacting our schools every day, and giving us feedback as not only a district but individual schools on how to improve really is going to allow us to move our system in District 25 into even greater heights. So this has been a really, really positive outcome of our work thus far, and I'm really looking forward to moving it forward.
And I want to take the opportunity to thank our parent coordinators and our principals who have really implemented them at the school level, and Esther and Jin May, who have worked tirelessly to support our parent coordinators, but to also run them at the district level. This week, we have started not only hosting parent chats in English, but also in other languages. So we had one in Chinese and one in Spanish. And tomorrow is our first parent chat at one of our schools in another language that's being district run. So we do know that many of our parent coordinators are also bilingual, and they have been running parent chats in different languages as well. So although I did implement this initiative, it really has happened, and it did take a village, and it's really wonderful hearing the different views from parents, and especially during this pandemic and the impact of student learning in both the remote and blended and now 5-day in-school environment. And a lot of the things that parents are talking about, we can change, and we've been doing that. So if you get some feedback from your school to participate in a parent chat, I highly recommend that you do it, because they have been really successful.
Yeah. And that concludes my brief presentation on the current state of where we are as a district. And I look forward to doing this again for you guys towards the end of the year when we get our final data set, because all of our schools will be administering a post using their school-based assessment, whether it's iReady or MAP or STAR.
Thank you, Dr. Danton.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
That's quite impressive, as always.
My pleasure.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Danielle. Did you have something to say?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to see that there is action, and it's nice to see the parent chat portion as well, because parents do have a voice, and they sit at the table. So it's nice that there's interaction. So that's always a positive thing. Before I move on to the public speaking portion, I believe that our special needs subcommittee wanted to report back to us. I understand that Akila Sario is having connection problems, as is Anne-Marie. Are you here, Akila?
No, I was going to speak, Joe.
Okay, so Brooke, so Brooke Sturgeon also sits on the committee, and Brooke, you're going to report to us on what progress you've done on the special needs subcommittee, correct?
Yeah, we've just got a short report. We've met with Danielle as a subcommittee, and we've come up with an action plan. We plan on getting together and making up a survey for the parents to fill out, and we're going to meet again soon. That's pretty much all the report.
Okay, perfect. I'm not sure if any other CEC member has anything to report back to us this evening. If there's anyone that would like to comment.
Joe, I would like to comment.
Go ahead, Victor.
Okay, first I want to thank Superintendent DiMango and Dr. Daytona for your support with the Average Student Project. I think right now actually would be a good time to see how well it assists the student in their learning and catching up with the learning gap. I also want to ask, this is question. I know, thank you for everybody's support with the Asian community. And I just wanted to ask this question. Are the cameras by the Bound Playground? install? Just a curiosity on my part.
Who's that?
Bound Playground by PS20?
PS20, yes, that's correct.
I'm not sure. I will check on that, Victor.
Okay, great.
I
That's all.
don't know if the cameras are outside of school like that. I
Well,
would have to check.
It's very close by, and it's just a little bit more for the community to feel a little bit safer, because I do know that playground has been utilized by a lot of people. A lot of people go there, a lot of students go there. And some are students from PS20 and also from other schools. So just give the parents a little bit safer if they know that there are at least some camera to protect the kids who are there. I do see more presence by the police department over there during the regular daytime, but just sometimes off hours they may not have it, and it would be nice to know that there are something that we can do for the community.
Okay, I'll look into it. I'll call the school tomorrow to see where their cameras are actually pointed at, and I'll let you know.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That
That's
would
all
be
I have. Thank
appreciated.
you, Joe.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Danielle.
Joe, or
So I just wanted, if any other CEC member wanted to say anything before we go to our public speaking portion.
Joe, I have a question for Victor. Victor,
Okay.
hi, it's Rashmi. Victor, is that the playground you're talking about that's kind of adjacent to PS20?
Yes, that's where the incident happened with the child
Right.
that got into serious.
Okay.
assault.
Okay. Just wanted, and then if the time permits, I wanted to ask Dr. Dantona two quick question on the slide presentation. So first of all, I love the cartoon characters. It's amazing. It gives me a smile every time I look at it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I like them because I have a lot more hair in those little emojis than I do actually.
I didn't say anything on that. I just love it. The level 4 and level 5. So is level 5 a category that the middle school uses, or is it something that elementary school uses? Because I have not seen level 5.
Yeah, so it's not really what they're using as much as it is from the assessment themselves. So iReady, they break down student performance into 5 levels. And that's why you see it broken down by that. I want to try to stay true as much as possible to the way that the assessment is and not give my own interpretation of what it means, and tell you what it is that it says. So from those assessments, that's how they break it down from levels 1 to 5. They don't call them that. They call it mid and above.
Right.
On, average, low, I'm mixing the two of them up.
Oh, average and average.
One grade below level, 2 grade below level, or 3 or more grades below for iReady. And then MAP is high, average, low, low. So they each break them up into 5 different categories.
Okay.
And that's where we were able to talk, just in terms of Victor's question, where you get to look at students on an additional scale, right, within the average range.
Okay.
And then it is also aligned to standards. So what schools have been doing is they've been really looking at certain key skills and priority standards that our students are the weakest in, and continuing to follow the scope and sequence, but also now specifically targeting key areas of weakness.
So if the school is using iReady, and if the level is only 2, but the school is also putting a 2- or a 3-, so that's within the school categorization, right? That's not an I level categorization.
No, so yeah, so that is a a function of the school. I mean, the
report card grades,
right? Yeah, the report card
Okay.
grades. What I'm sharing is simply the benchmark assessment from that each of our schools have administered.
Okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't have anything to do with the report card structure.
Oh, okay.
At the school.
Okay, I just wanted to clear for myself, and maybe other parents had the same question.
Yeah.
And then the next question, I don't know if it's for you or Mr. Mango can answer that, but I know that in the past, Mr. Mango, you had mentioned something about student chat in the same way as parent chat. And like you have just spotted few children on the 5th and higher grade level. Has that something that you guys are thinking going forward to have?
We have had them in the past, and we actually have one scheduled tomorrow, one at 9 in elementary school and one at 11 for the
Yeah,
middle
so
school.
this is the third round of chats that we've had with our students.
Yeah.
And yeah, the next one is scheduled for tomorrow, one with an elementary group and a middle school group.
Okay.
And once again, same as with parents, we ask students questions relevant to things that are happening across the district and make changes and recommendations based on what they're saying.
So it's the same process, the floor, you reach the parent coordinators and they in turn reach the teachers and they in turn get the student's name, and that's how the order is.
Mhm.
It's exactly the
Well,
same.
we reach out to principals and principals.
Okay.
Elect students.
All right, thanks.
All good stuff.
All done, Joe.
Okay. Is there any other? Go ahead, Monica. I see you raise your hand. Go ahead.
Hi. Mr. Mango, when will we get the results for the middle schools when they were accepted? What school they've been accepted?
I'll check. Hold on. Let me check.
Yeah, you checking? Lewis will check for you right now, Monica. The exact date. I know it's late.
The website says mid-April.
Yeah.
Okay. And my other question is regarding the new CDC guidelines that we could be 3 feet. How would that work with the school if in class you could be 3 feet, but while taking lunch you have to be 6 feet?
So we are still waiting guidance on that. That was one of the questions that we escalated the day after the announcement. So I should have more information on that soon. But I don't necessarily know what that will look like right now and recommendations that were coming from Central.
Okay. And the other thing is that the parent chat that we had the other day, the Spanish one, I mean, it was great. A lot of people who saw it, they enjoyed it, and they were actually happy that we had one in Spanish that they could understand and everything, participate. But so thank you very much for that.
Monica, you were great too.
Oh, my Spanish was so.
No, you were great. You were able to, explain things just in terms of, using your knowledge as a parent leader, so thank you for being there.
Thank you for inviting me.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Monica. You done with your comments? Perfect. So I understand like the new, and I know what the mayor wants to do with all these requirements, but the plan is not rolled out, right, Danielle? It's still in process of.
Right, we're still awaiting guidance.
You mean guidance? Okay, perfect. So I'm not sure, Mr. Kim, are you here? You wanted to make a comment, Eddie? Are you good? Got it. Okay. So I'm going to move forward to our public speaking time. And I know our UFT representative for our district, Lamar Hughes, is here. And it's always a pleasure to see you. And I know you wanted to give a brief statement. So you have the floor. Go ahead.
Hi. Good evening, Joe. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing?
Good.
So very briefly, we have monthly UFT and District 25 DOE consultation meetings. And one of the topics throughout the course of the year, and one of the topics that we brought up was revisiting a 10-year celebration. Those of you who recall, last year we had one sometime around October, November over at IS 25, and it was a really, really good turnout with teachers and secretaries and administrators, all who were nominated for and granted tenure during a certain time period. I forget the exact frame, but we worked around that frame and, recognized their tenure reward or award. So we want to go through that again. And we've had conversations with Superintendent Domingo on that. We've discussed April. I have to be honest. I know our next CEC is in 2 weeks. I don't know if that's feasible. But May, okay, I think May would be an ideal date. And again, we would work out the time frame and the logistics of those who would be invited for the celebration. But I wanted to present it to the CEC and let everyone know what we're planning to do in a collaborative effort. So I'm imagining May. And I just wanted to just make that announcement and, you know, let everyone know their child's teachers, those who would be eligible for tenure, and those who worked really hard to get their binders and their nominations and recommendations, they're going to be recognized hopefully this year.
So we definitely take pride in celebrations, and I recall last year's celebration, so I would welcome it again this year. So if you can coordinate, and we'll get the notice out to the community. Like you said, I think April might be too soon because it's about 2 weeks away, and we have
2 weeks away, yeah.
So perhaps May. Like I said, we're also waiting for the town hall, but I welcome it. So why don't you let's start the planning, and we'll work with you, right?
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you, Lamar. Always a pleasure to
Thank
see
you. Same here. Good to see everyone. Danielle, we're on the clock. Mike, we're on the clock.
What clock?
The clock. Mike knows what I'm talking about. We're on the clock. We gotta get this on by May.
Oh, okay. We can. No, that we will. Lewis, you should say, Lewis, we're on the clock.
Lewis, we're on the clock.
Okay.
Carly,
Thank you,
do we have
everyone. Thank
anybody-
you.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Is there anyone else on the speaker list, Carly?
Hold on. Do we have any plans on how the relief funds will be allocated to schools and how much will be allocated to schools?
We don't know that yet. That would be part of the fiscal year 22 budget. What we do know is that the mayor recently announced that due to the relief funds, that all schools will be held harmless next year in terms of register loss. So that's part of that, and that's really big for some of our schools that may have had reductions in register over the past year.
Okay. I know fair student funding is supposed to come to our next meeting. I don't know if that's related.
That's scheduled
Yes,
for
it
April,
is.
correct?
It is.
Okay.
And that would be a great time to ask that question as well, because there will be budget people there to answer those questions.
Great.
They are scheduled to be at our April meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we can call that question off till April, right?
Yeah.
You all know that we have CEC elections, and there is going to be a forum. I don't know the exact date, but it will be at the April's President's Council meeting. Please look out for details on that. If there's nothing else on.
Oh, can I say, we have the date. We just don't have the
You have the
flyer
date?
yet. It's April 19th.
So the candidate forum is scheduled for April 19th, correct?
Yes, at District
President's
25,
Council.
President's
Okay, so
Council.
For District 25.
Yes.
We look forward to seeing
6
you.
p.m.
At 6 p.m. Thank you, Juliana. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah.
We will send out the notice to the community, Carly, right?
Yes, once we get it, we're gonna distribute to all parent coordinators and all President's Council, put it on the the District 25 website, send it to Carly to distribute to her contact list, and that's how we're gonna do it.
Perfect. Thank you, Esther. That's good news. Having said that, we do not have a business meeting this month because we had that last week. So if there's nothing else on our agenda, I will entertain motions to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Monica made the motion.
I'll second.
Who's that, Christine?
Yes.
I don't see you, but I see your name. Okay. So
Yes, it's
Wait,
me.
there's Christine. There's another Christine who raised her hand.
It's Christine Canigro.
We both did. It's okay. Same thing. I just didn't unmute.
So the meeting is adjourned. I look forward to seeing you on April 7th, Wednesday, and I wish you a happy and healthy spring break because I believe schools are closed next week.
Yeah.
And everyone have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
evening. Take care.
Night.
Bye-bye.